again. Only recently have I discovered the magical art that is hand lettering. At first I called it calligraphy, then I realized that wasn't really the term the community was using, but whatever you want to call it, it's whenever you take a writing device and make pretty loopy words that have thick lines and thin lines and it just looks professional and you want your wedding letters done in it even though you're only 19 and you don't even have a boyfriend. You still don't know what I'm talking about. It looks like this. Yeah, I know I got the lyric wrong. I'm a fake fan. Fight me, Linda. I just did this one super quickly for my friend. I consider myself self-taught on hand lettering, but I think pretty much everyone is at this point. If you're watching this and you're someone who has been hand lettering since 1904, congratulations. You'll probably get nothing out of this video. Also, way to go on being alive. This video is sort of intended for beginners or people that have never done it before or people that have done it before but don't think they're very good. I just wanted to give you all a tutorial on how to hand letter with Crayola markers because I know that brush pens can be intimidating, they might be expensive, but genuinely I think these are a great place to start, and even if you do end up getting great at these, I think they're just easy compared to brush pens. So today is going to focus entirely on Crayola markers. Disclaimer, I'm not a professional. Alrighty, so really there's one thing you're gonna need, and it's just plain old Crayola markers. You can get these in the regular, just classic 10 colors edition. But if you want to be extra fruity, you can get these, the super tips, that are also really great. These are pretty much identical, except obviously there's going to be a size difference. This is for finer and smaller print, whereas this would be for bigger, maybe title pieces. I'm going to focus on these, but I'll give you a couple of examples with this later. So I'm going to assume that the person watching this video has never tried hand lettering before. Maybe they have, they don't think they're very good, or they just want to try Crayola, or they just were interested in this video. I don't know what the reason you're here is, but I'm gonna treat this as if none of us have ever heard the word hand lettering before. The basic laws of the land, if you will, with hand lettering is that your upstrokes are going to be light up and your downstrokes are going to be heavy down. If you need to practice finding a hand position that allows you to do both without readjusting your hand position, that's what you're gonna do. Because if you're trying to write a word but you have to readjust your hand position between every time you go up and down, that's gonna take longer, and it's also gonna make your letters look a lot more choppy. Normally I would be writing like right here. It would be a pretty much like if I was just doing my standard, hey guys, I would be writing with my fingers all the way down here. But for hand lettering, I scoop my fingers up maybe half an inch to where it's above this line right here so that I can have control over both my ups and my downs with very minimal. You can see instead of doing this versus this, it's a much smaller movement between my hand. And it's going to take practice to make sure that your upstrokes are light. But this is the gist of what you're going to do. And there are templates everywhere online. What I actually recommend as far as finding, this is definitely something that comes with muscle memory. After you do this for a long time and you start doing your letters, it's going to get easier and easier to write. And I feel like this has even improved my handwriting just in general. If you want to do hand lettering like you see on Instagram and like, you know, wedding cards or whatever, that comprises of the basic alphabet. So you need to know that before you start anything. So I'm just sketching. This is not pressing down in any particular fashion, just doing my letters in cursive. So this is what the basic cursive alphabet looks like. This might look different than what you were taught in your second grade classroom, but there's a couple of flourishes that a lot of hand letterers like to do, such as with the B, instead of doing the B in the classroom, you learned that looks like an F. But you know, B's typically don't do this little loopy thing. Maybe they do and I just learned my B's wrong. I don't know. With the D, you always do this little loop up here, and I say always loosely, like you can do what you want, but to make it look pretty, you might do the loop up there. So moving onward, no matter what letter you do, it's always going to have this sort of slant to it. Oh, that was a little too thick, so I need to make sure I'm being more conscientious of where I'm pressing down. It's always going to have the tilt to it like you see right here. You're always going to have your hand resting in this position, and the more you get used to keeping your hand in one position across the page doing the same incline for every letter, that's when it's going to get simple. So basically any letter can be formed by these sideways. See, this is just up, down, up, down, up. There's no like actual curving my hand, moving my hand in weird directions. For an A, it's literally light up, hard down, light up, hard down, light up. And there it is. That might look magical to you. I know if I was a beginner watching this, I was like, if I try to do that, it would look like this. I promise you, it takes practice. I've only been doing it for a couple of months. Once you get it down, I think Crayola markers are actually really great tools to do this with. Not just because they don't bleed very horribly, but they're actually easier to get as a beginner instead of brush pens. So I'm gonna go ahead and compose an entire alphabet for you just so you can kind of see what it looks like. I'm gonna switch my colors really quick. Sorry if there's a lot of noise. We're gonna stick to the same thing like we did with the A. You're gonna keep your hand in one position and you're gonna keep it going up, down, on a slant. So up, oops, down, up. This is a new marker, that's why it's really stiff. Up, down, up, down, up. Up, down, up, down, up. So it's just a combination of up, down, just making sure you know which stroke is heavy and which stroke is light. A little closer now, that's up, down, up. That wasn't that good. Oops. Let's try that again. Up, down, up. Just make sure it's really smooth and round. F's are my favorite. They're a little funky. Up, very hard down, light up. Little twirly, and out. G's are also fun. Up, and hard down. Ugh, it keeps bending. Light up, hard down, light up. H, also really fun. Up, down. Make sure you go out instead of straight back up, and then light up. I'll just finish this up real quick. P, super fun. Love her. Q. With R's, it typically is like this, which you really can do if you want to, just like the simple little bracket, but typically you'll see the little loop-de-loop just because why not make it extra? Also with S's, you add a little curly Q, so down here, instead of going straight back out like this, a lot of people would choose to do that little curly Q like that, and I've actually started doing that with my regular print writing for like class and stuff, so that will stick around with you. I can't stop. That was kind of weak. Yeah. So there's your basic alphabet. It's kind of gray and drab, but we have it. Now you're gonna want to practice your alphabet over and over, just because if you jump into it and try and write pretty. I've done a video before called Hand Lettering with me, and you can see the improvement from there to here is vast. Because since then to now, I've realized that practice makes perfect is very true. So now let's practice putting a word together. The word that a lot of people like to use, and especially me, I like to just say hello. It's simple, there's lots of loops, so get your grip going, and then make sure you're doing light up, heavy down. Light up, heavy down. If you want an even harder exercise, you can start going light up, heavy down, light up, heavy down, light up. Oh, see, I messed up. It's hard. Heavy down, light up, heavy down. I don't do this as much as I should, but that's just a way to help you do a continuous up and down motion, getting that light and heavy strokes. I feel like the amount of times I've used the word strokes in this video is sort of becoming an innuendo. Oh well. So like I said, hello, let's try that. One thing you want to avoid is making your letters way too big. So like if I were to do like hello, like this might look cool to some of you, but I prefer hand lettering where there's a vast difference between the light and the down. So instead of it being like this, I like it like this. There's a big difference between these two, I think, and if you make it too big, it's susceptible to becoming like this rather than this. So make sure it's the right height for the thickness of the pen you're working with. H, Oh, a little lower. And I messed it up. Swing it out, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And as you can see, I got a little bit up instead of going in a straight line, which is still a novice error. For me, a lot of people like to practice on dotted paper, so you would have this and you could come back to the same lines over and over so that you're just on the right track, and there would be dots up here too, so it could help you better, you know, this. But really the one thing I have to stress to you is definitely watch other people and absolutely practice. The way that you make your letters, I highly recommend doing the little flick out at the ends like this. That way whenever you do your next letter, either here or the one behind it, you automatically have a place to connect it to. So if I were to start my B, I wouldn't start it over here, I could start it right here. And see how they kind of meld into one another? You're looking for a flow there. So even if you can't do it continuously like I just did, I'm gonna flip this over, you can always do H, and then stop there. E, stop there. L, stop there. L, stop there. O, stop there. And as you can see, there's little tiny baby bumps where you can see where you might have put that down, picked it back up. I probably just did that too fast to make that avoidable, but I feel like Crayola makes that very easy if you were needing to do that as a beginner. However, there's also one technique that I do a lot, especially if I'm just using a plain ballpoint pen. If you wanted to just put a word in regular simple cursive, you can do this, and a lot of people do this. So instead of trying to do the whole press down and then light and dark and all that jazz, you could do this and then go back and make your lines thicker where your downstrokes would be. So that would be up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, and then leave a little right there. So that's definitely an option, and that might look better to you, and that is definitely going to be easier if you're a beginner. And you can do this with anything. If I wanted to make the, you know how I put hello huge on this other page and said, oh, it's not that thick. This is when I could come back and make this really stark. And so it could look very thick if I came back and did that, if you were a fan of that look, or if you were just interested in, you know, jazzing it up a little, but you needed really big words and you only had Crayola markers. The more intermediate you get, the more you can add little flourishes and different styles of letters and different heights of letters. Like some people will write like hello, but then they'll make that not centered, and then they'll go H-E-L, huge L down, hello. Then they'll do that, but then make this big thing come up here like that. And this is just a whole different style. The more you practice, the more you can be able to integrate different heights and just playing around with it like this. There's so many Instagrams that you can follow where you can see all their different techniques. And I will warn you that it's sped up a lot. So if you need to practice hand lettering going this slow, which is actually probably closer to the normal speed, I guarantee you the people on Instagram who do it like crazy fast are sped up. So don't feel like you need to immediately go and write something like, you know, crazy mad woman or man. I kind of want to tear this out and put it in my journal. I didn't think it'd come out that well. So as promised, I can also do a little bit of a preview of what these super tips are going to be like. It's absolutely the same technique as the regular markers. These super tips are called super tips because although they're small markers, they have the same composition of the big markers. The tip of it is really clean and sharp, but then the edges of it are also very thick. So you can get a fine line pointing straight down, you can get a thick line doing a little bit horizontal. Where'd my lid go? Oh. So as for big Crayola markers, I'll give you strokes like this. These smaller markers are definitely a lot more fine-tipped, and you'll notice that very early on. With these, I feel like you're going to need a little more control, but these are definitely going to be in tighter spaces, and you're going to, again, not try and do the same huge letters as you would with a regular Crayola marker. These are more for smaller text. But once again, if you wanted to do your fancy little trick where you just write it regularly and then you come back and do your little downstrokes, no one ever tells. It looks like I did this all on my own. Except you would hopefully do that not as fast, and so it would look cleaner. These are just basically the same thing. You just do a lot of practice up and down strokes. If you wanted to do non-cursive letter, that's totally also a thing. I'm just not an expert in it, so I didn't really want to focus on it in this video. But the basics that I know is that still same gist of heavy downstrokes, light up non-downstrokes. That looks very robotic. Anytime you have an H or an E or a capital A or a B, you're gonna want to put the lines all in the same spot. So like the curve for the B would begin at everywhere else. So if I wanted to do that again, and I wanted it to be all the way up here, everything would have to be all the way up here, just so that it seemed continuous. Heave isn't a word. Maybe it is, and it's offensive in some languages. But no matter where you put this, if you want to put it low, you want to make sure it's consistent throughout the entire thing so that it's not, here I'll show you what it would look like if it didn't. Okay, so that's up there, that's up there, that's up there, that's just in the middle. That might look cute to you, but it's a bit discontinuous. So just for the sake of continuity, a lot of people would recommend doing keeping it all on one line and then everything else around it is, you know, continuous on that line. And you don't have to draw the actual line. Actually, you probably shouldn't, but that's just to give you a kind of idea. A lot of people will do like phrases and then have little like the or a in the middle be those lowercase words. I know that I keep talking about the word hello, so I might as well just do a quote with hello. So I'm gonna go with the quote, "Hello, my old heart," and I'm gonna have hello and heart in cursive and the other two in regular print. Maybe do like a little flourish like that, but I have to work on that because that was sloppy. And then maybe a little flourish up here. I don't know. Gotta work on that. But as you can see what I mean, if you want to combine these two, that's also a very popular, I'm sorry, I keep tilting it to right on it. It's a very popular theme. I'm not perfect. Every time I sit down to do this, as you can tell, I make mistakes. I do things that are stupid and they're not centered and I have to start over and I mess up. So maybe it's relatable to some of you. So that was everything that I can tell you, unless I've forgotten things, which could have happened. I wanted to thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you got anything out of this video. I know I feel super inspired after watching stuff like this, so definitely just go like grab the nearest marker, go mark some stuff up. Not like the walls. Please use paper. I would highly recommend going and looking up hand lettering on Instagram because that's where the community has thrived and it's the most addicting stream of videos to watch ever. If you're interested in seeing more videos from me about craftiness and or journaling, I have an entire journaling playlist where you can check out some of the journal flip throughs that I have that contain this hand lettering or just different things to get you inspired to write. But I think that's everything I have to say. Thank you all so much once again for watching. If I missed anything or if I have any false information or if you have any additional tips, absolutely let me know down below. Until next time, goodbye.